Can we start?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
I don't know if thinking that. When I first heard about COVID, it was kind of, we knew it was kind of a worldwide thing, but we always kind of think in Ireland, I suppose, it's not going to hit us. And I remember it was kind of the week before it was leading up to closing, that obviously there's these restrictions. But to be honest, the atmosphere got a little bit strange in the gym. It was kind of like, every single conversation that we had was all about COVID, was COVID coming, what was going to happen. And we knew that we were going to have to close, and we were kind of waiting for the government to make a decision. And that day when we closed, I remember I wanted to get some equipment out of the gym just to bring it home, so literally loaded the car and got it all in, got home, and I just didn't feel right. I remember I was just like, oh my God, I'm absolutely drained. But I knew the last thing I had to do was get the equipment out of the car into the front room at home. And got it in anyway, and I just laid down on the couch, and I remember saying to Linda, I was like, I just don't feel right, like, there's something wrong, like I said, I have the flu, like I say, I have the flu, like, but I wonder, could it be something else, like, and I remember her laughing, saying, like, Joe, you're just bait from Joe doing everything, you're stressed and whatever else, and now you just haven't kind of come down, whatever, and I was like, grand, but I was hanging, like, and actually the girls called me, they'd got a basketball ring out the back, and Sophie wanted me to play. And I hate saying no, so I was trying to play, and I just couldn't even stand still or stand up, and I was saying to Sophie, like, I have to go back inside. That was grand. And the more the day went on, I was like getting worse and worse and worse. So got into bed, whatever, basically slept for the 2 days, and then on a Friday night, I wasn't right. At the time, we were kind of looking back, and I was kind of saying to Linda, I have to have COVID. Like I said, this is different. I just feel it's different than what it was when I had the flu in the past. Saturday or Sunday around the doctor, they said just self-isolate anyway. So the days went on, and after, I think about day 12, day 13, I started to feel much better. Even though I always maintained it up to 2 weeks afterwards, I still wasn't right. I still felt that I wasn't where I wanted to be. And then I think about after 3 weeks, they rang me to give me my results. And she was like, oh, just ringing to tell you if you had it or not. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, are you so? She said to me, look, you did have it, or you do have COVID. I had it, so then there was obviously people living in the house with me as well. And Linda then actually started to get like symptoms. She was getting headaches, she didn't have taste buds, and they asked her to come in, and they said, yeah, you have to get tested out because your husband had it. And it turned out that she had it then as well. Yeah, that was kind of the story. That was the story, I suppose, of COVID at the beginning. And then we actually got news that Linda got pregnant. And so it was unbelievable news to get during COVID, I suppose. And we were waiting for a scan, and because of COVID, we couldn't go into the hospital. So they delayed the scan basically. So Linda said, no, she wants to go for a private one, so we get it done earlier. And that was grand. So booked the morning off and whatever, and we went in to get the scan. And I just went to the scan. It was normal to do a scan to show you the baby, whatever. That's what I was waiting for. So they went in anyway. I started scanning her, and I remember the girl kind of the nurse turned to the doctor, I should say. She turned to Linda, and she was like, I can't find a heartbeat. And I was like, keep looking, like. So obviously just keep looking for the heartbeat. And she was like, no. And I kind of looked at Linda, and like, I suppose I'd be a bit naive that way. I just like thought like, oh, yeah, just keep looking for the heartbeat. And I just see Linda wasn't, like, she looked really shocked and like ready to cry. What the hell's wrong? Then she kept on saying, I'm so sorry. And I was like, what? It was a weird situation in my life because I didn't expect it one bit. I thought I was going to get the heartbeat and then get the picture, out you go. And so basically I said to Linda, what's going on? I was asking what's going on, like, wait, no heartbeat, like, and she was like, yeah, there's no heartbeat, so it means that there's no heartbeat, so it could be miscarrying or whatever. But the nurse then said to us, she said, look, I'm going to send you in for a scan into the hospital because she just said they could, like, just in case, like, there could be something wrong with the machine. Basically, I was kind of gathering a little bit, and that there's a chance. So the doctor left the room, and I was saying to Linda, like, look, I was kind of looking and going, what the fuck is going on? And she was obviously crying, and I was kind of hugging her, and So obviously it was an initial shock when I couldn't register in my head. I was like, Joe, it could be miscarrying, I just couldn't register it. And that was grand anyways. I said to Linda, look, don't worry, we can, Joe, like, she's obviously sent us to a scan because this might have happened before where it hasn't showed up in her machine or whatever. And that was grand anyway. We got to the doctor, or got to the hospital, and I remember now we were standing in the line, and it was literally like you have to wait, Joe, to go in because you could be tested. We went to the hospital. Linda was just crying. We couldn't even talk to each other on the way in the car. We had to go straight up there. And we were just kind of standing in the line, and you couldn't write this shit, alright? It was like something out of a film. There was someone in front of us, alright? There was a man with his son, and the woman came out to hand him the baby that she just had. And they were like, oh baby, and then this, like, oh look at your little sister, little brother. And we were just standing there watching this thing, and it was like, is this actually real? Like, how are we put in this situation, coming up, knowing that Linda's probably miscarried? And it was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, but we got in anyway. So we did our testing, got up to the waiting room. And I remember your one gave out that I was there. What? Was she giving out that I'm here? Like, we totally forgot the whole thing. Like, I'm not allowed in there, but they let me in there. So I was like, why are they giving out? Like, I'm allowed to be here. But Linda just kind of said to one, she saw her, Linda was bawling, and the one was like, Jesus, sorry, put us into a private waiting room. And then when Linda went in for the scan, I remember I was just sitting, I couldn't go in with her, they wouldn't let me into the room because it was too small. And I was just sitting there just going, oh please God, like, just please God. And she came out, and it was like, obviously she didn't tell me, so she was in floods of tears, like, and it was like, the nurse or the doctor, the nurse, whichever one, just said, look, I'm sorry, but she was like miscarrying. And it was like, right, so that was grand, we had to leave the hospital, and I remember getting home and we were like, what the bloody hell is happening? It was Linda's birthday the week after, and I remember that day we were talking about, like, we should do some surprise in the cake to say, oh, Joe, happy birthday, and I'm pregnant, or whatever, like, to tell the family. And so all these kind of things were running through my mind. I was there going, like, the strange things running through, I don't know why that was running through my mind, but it was. And so with the whole thing, we need to find out more what was the story with the Joe miscarriage. And I've read there's, like, is it just like she has a period and it's just gone, whatever. So we had to go up and meet the doctor, went up, met the doctor, and this is where kind of things escalated, to be honest. And he said that you take some tablet and then you just go home and you just whatever, but he was only a junior doctor and he came back then afterwards, so that was the first kind of initial thought we thought was going to happen. Then he came back afterwards saying you're actually gone too far, and we were like, what's that mean? Because you're going to have to deliver the baby. I remember we were kind of, jeez, like, what does that even mean? Like, and we were kind of chatting about it, and then he said she's going to stay in the hospital, and I came back up, and I remember driving home to get our stuff, like, I was like, what is she going to be delivering the baby? I couldn't get my head around what was going on. And we got to get back to the hospital, we were talking about it, and we were sitting down going, what was going to go on, and it was like the two of us had no idea what was coming. And just after that, I suppose, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to watch Linda go through. And I don't even want to explain the situation, but she had to deliver the baby, and it wasn't the way that we thought she was going to be delivering it. And it was that there was no nurses or doctors in there when the baby got delivered. And so that was all done. We were up in hospital for a few days. It was horrendous, like, looking at Linda. It was just the hardest thing I ever had to see her go through in all my life. And then things like when people talk about stuff, start happening so fast, you don't even know what's going on. So we literally got up to the hospital, I think it was on Friday, thinking we were having a baby, thinking we were going for a scan to have a baby. Got Joe told miscarried, told we have to have Joe that she's miscarried, then told that she has to deliver the baby, so that happens. Then all of a sudden, it was literally like, they give you the baby, so you're sitting in the hospital with the baby in your hand, then they bring a coffin, alright, a small little coffin, then you're all of a sudden you're walking out of the hospital with a coffin in your hand, a small coffin. Then you get home and you're like, what the bloody hell's going on? You have to actually arrange a funeral, so we had to buy a burial plot, and then we wanted to put stuff down with the baby so we could get a bigger coffin. And I remember that day so this was like, do we do the burial on Tuesday, and on the Monday it was like, I had clients like, So they were telling me about I was doing check-ins, they were telling me about all their problems. And I was like, yeah, like, it's okay, like, we all have our problems, and that's what I'm dealing with every day. And it was okay that they have their problems, but in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm burying my child tomorrow. And I was just going through the hang on, I'm burying my fucking child tomorrow. And so I was trying to get through that day. And again, just the Tuesday came, and there was a few people out up to the grave, but obviously we were social distancing and all that. And I don't know how the fuck it happened, but from on the Friday, thinking we were getting ready to go through the whole pregnancy thing, I was picking this coffin up out of my car, carrying it to a grave and putting it into the ground. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I was like, how am I going to cope at work? And I was like, I actually had to go back to work that night, would you believe? And I had people telling me about their problems, that was massive, and they always do, and seem massive to them or small to them. And I don't know how, I just had to keep it in, whatever, like, that's just the way it was. But look, the one thing I would say about that whole experience is that, at least in a way, that it was kind of nice to be able to have the coffin, we have a place to go, to remember, because that child, alright, whether people, we still don't know if it's a boy or girl, by the way. So, like, people have miscarriages, and now I understand it. I understand, like, I knew it was bad before, I knew it was hard, but now I know how hard it actually is. And it's kind of nice to know that, because that child, right, that child is a massive part of our life now. I have 3 kids now, I don't have 2. And it's just, yeah, it's a massive part of our life, and it's good in a way to have somewhere to go, to see the child, or whatever you want to call it that, or somewhere to visit, just to remember the child by. And Aidan and Sophie, they know, they have another brother and sister, and we told them, and the other hardest thing I probably had to do in my life is tell them, but they understand. And it's not, like, what would you say, it's not that you accept these things, but you do, like, I talk about an unstoppable mindset and all this kind of stuff, and I say to people, no matter what gets in our way, if we want to achieve something at work, if we want to achieve certain things, even the body shape that we're in, or dieting, or whatever else, like, has to be unstoppable. Like, nothing can stand in our way, and like, things are going to be bumpy along the road, but it's kind of like, when people say it's not your fault, that this happened, you're like, well, it is my fault that it happened. I put myself in this situation. Me and Linda got pregnant. It's our fault at the end of the day that we put ourselves in this situation. And then, like, fault, it might sound like the wrong word, but it's something now that we have to deal with, and it's something that we have to accept. And it's something that we have to get on with and go through and whatever else and talk about it. And I think it's going to affect us the rest of our life. I think it's going to affect Linda far more than it's going to affect me, because I do think what she went through was far worse than what I went through. And it's just something that we have to move on with. It's part of our life for the rest of our lives. Is something that it's someone now that is going to be part of our lives, something that happened that we're never going to forget. It's helped me understand life a lot more. It's helped me understand people again even a lot more. All these experiences that you go through, they all help build you as a person, I suppose. And something we'd never forget. And while I love that we were having another baby, we also have to look at the fact that we're blessed with the 2 kids that we have. We now have a 3rd child. Didn't work out the way we wanted to work out, but it is what it is, and yeah, we have to accept it and deal with it and move on, and always remember. Do you know the one thing that was brilliant about COVID as well? It was that, like, while at the start of it, I was like, shit, Joe, change on the gym. I loved COVID, the time of COVID, being at home. For once, my hours were just so nice, because I've been used to, say, coming into the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, staying here till 8 o'clock at night, not seeing the kids, more or less Monday to Friday, working again on Saturday, finish with her on Saturday, seeing the kids, whatever. But during this time, it was like, my hours became, like, people didn't want to work out anymore in the morning. They didn't have to, because they weren't at work anymore. And if they were at work, they were able to just pop on to a Zoom personal training session for 30 minutes. They had no commute to the gym and back and stuff like that. So everything became a lot more condensed in terms of training people. And so what I meant was that I finally had decent sleep, I suppose, that I was able to get up a bit later, that if I had lunch breaks, that I was able to go for a walk with Sophie and Ava, and basically spend more time around the kids. I was actually finishing work a lot earlier because I was condensing my day a little bit more. And as bad as the situation was, and obviously everything was, it was an awful situation, it still is an awful situation, but I enjoyed the time at home. I really enjoyed the time at home. Sophie, I think especially, would have loved having me at home, spending more time just with them, and I had to kind of embrace the whole thing as well, because I know, and I knew at the time as well, that it was going to go back to normal. Everything is going to go back to normal. I'd be back to the gym, long hours, not seeing the kids as much as I could. So it kind of opened up my eyes a little bit in terms of business, in terms of work, because I realised how much little time I was having at home with the family. That was kind of condensed to weekends and stuff like that. But during this time, it was just like they were always around. If I had 30 minutes off, I could pop into the kitchen and they were all in there, and whatever, I'd go for a 30-minute walk with Sophie and gaps in between the day and whatever else. And it was absolutely, I loved it, to be honest. Again, situation was terrible, but I loved the whole fact that I had more time around the kids, more time around Linda, and just in general that my days were a little bit easier. So that was one positive, I suppose, that I took from COVID. And the whole thing with the clients, like the initial worry with them was that we'd lose them, that we wouldn't be able to look after them. But with that all sorted, like, it was just meant that the rest was, it just became a lot easier, I suppose, to go from day to day. And it does make me look into the future and what I want, and what I want to do with the gym, and how much hours I should be putting in, how much time I should be working, whatever else, like, so. And it shows us as well, I think COVID showed a lot of people that how much work you can actually do from at home, and how much, I suppose, easier it is at times to work. Now, I don't think that I would work from home all the time, but it's definitely I could spend some time working at home, sometimes working in the gym. And it really opened up my eyes to a lot of other things as well, and a lot of the other future plans that we have for the gym. Hi everyone, so it's 2 weeks now since myself and Mark recorded this video, and I suppose I just want to kind of go over a little bit of why I wanted to do this. So I suppose when it comes to miscarriages, that it happens 1 in 5 pregnancies that there is a miscarriage, and I think we look at miscarriages a lot from the perspective of the mother, but I suppose I kind of want to also show from the father's point of view as well. And because I found that I have friends that have had their wife or their girlfriend have had a miscarriage, and it's all, I think it's in all cases where men were afraid to speak, and it's more like, oh yeah, that happened, and my wife and my girlfriend's doing okay, and obviously I'm the same, like, my focus went totally onto Linda. And when Linda was speaking with me, she was constantly asking me, oh, how are you doing? And I would have said to Linda, oh, everything is good, it's perfect, and whatever else. And obviously things aren't perfect, and when I talk to my friends who have experienced the same thing, it's not perfect for them either. So I wanted to do this video to encourage more men to speak about it. I think speaking about something, no matter what it is, whether it's something miscarriage or whatever's going on in your life, it does help you. It does help to get things off your chest. In the past, and my mother would say this, I always bottled things up. I just bottled everything up. I'd be afraid to speak about things. Linda maybe says that about me as well. So for me to get on camera and speak about that was kind of a big deal, to be honest. And I'm hoping that there is people out there that have listened to this and that are, Jesus, I'm in the same position, and maybe it is better for me to talk about it. If we do keep things bottled up, it does build up inside you, and it's not going to help us mentally. In terms of, even when I look back at a video and the points that I was trying to get across, like, what I want people to know as well is that I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for sympathy for me and Linda. It's not a case of that it's like we should feel sorry for us and we try to get over this. Yeah, it's not a case that I want people to, look at us and hope that we're doing okay. We'll be fine, we'll be okay. I want people to think about those lives that never were, not just Faye, but other people's lives, and it's a much bigger deal, I suppose. And I've never ever, I admit it, never understand exactly what a miscarriage was. And now I think I do more of an understanding of what it is and what life is, and a bit more understanding of what life is. And as we go through life, we get all these experiences, and it helps build us as a person. But yeah, for me to do this video, I wanted to show people that it's okay to talk, no matter what it's about, whether we're male or female. It's actually a show of strength. And I wouldn't have believed this in the past, and I've had people say it to me, and now I do understand, because for me to share my story with you,
it's helped me an awful lot to deal with the situation as well, I have to say. And it's even, I would have found it very hard to speak to Linda. I think Linda knows now what more what I'm thinking, my line of thinking, and it will help her as well to understand what I'm thinking as well, I suppose. But yeah, I hope it related to a few people out there. I hope, even if it just helped one person. And that's my story, Faye's story, Linda's story, our family story.